So I'll briefly read this book. Let me share my screen. So we are reading this Heartfulness Way, Volume 2. So we were talking about the science and spirituality last week. So let's continue on the same topic. So over the years, I have learned to let spirituality and science remain in their own dimensions. The beauty happens when both are unimposing and complementary. And when we embrace both, the universal principles of spirituality influence our worldly life. Our soul provides the life force for our creativity, whether it's in music, romance, business, relationships, or scientific discovery. It weaves the unity. So the world of matter is a visible affair, whereas spirituality is invisible, about non-being. When we Even when we feel various spiritual states, how can we describe what is happening at the deepest level of our consciousness? I'm glad, Daji brought up this question. So, when we feel various spiritual states, how can we describe what is happening at the deepest level of our consciousness? We are in the realm of God, the realm of true potential. And our experience of this realm is closer than we may imagine. Every night in deep sleep, we touch the soul. In that moment, we are one with our deeper self. That is why sleep is so rejuvenating, and we wake why we wake from, or actually it should be when we wake from a deep restful sleep, feeling so good. But we are not aware of it. We don't understand it because it is beyond knowledge. So in meditation, we learn to experience that realm while awake. We become aware of the infinite presence as the foundation of our existence, the center of being. This happens through the heart, by setting for ourselves the goal of oneness with the infinite. So here, if we little bit go into the aspects, right? See, even today, most of the quantum physicists, if you listen to their lectures, the latest ones, they're all talking about consciousness. Now, it's a common topic among the scientists and physicists. So, but this science of consciousness existed even before, right? What about the psychology, human psychology, the people who are studying about? Carl Jung, have written so many books on human psychology. How does the human psychology fit into the physical science? See, sometimes we mix both. At a physical state, things can be repeated, reproduced exactly. But when we shift from a physical realm into a mental space, the psychology, is what we call. Now these are all patterns of studies, based on certain patterns. You can say this is the human behavior, this is the human psychology, and this is how a good man thinks like. This is how a person who is lying exhibits certain patterns. A person who is a criminal exhibits certain patterns. A person who is a politician exhibits certain patterns. Things like that, right? So, how do you, really reconcile? This is the pattern every human is thinking in. You cannot really generalize it like that, because once we enter the mental realm, the possibilities are tremendous. And from the mental realm, if you go into the conscious realm, and from the conscious realm to the realm of the soul or God, whatever you want to call it, there are infinite possibilities. Now today quantum theories are talking about it, and that's why you cannot pinpoint a particular, even at the physical level, you cannot pinpoint the position of an electron inside the atom at a particular interval or at a given time, right? So now with this infinite possibilities, like the crude science expects the things to repeat every time we perform an experiment, is not possible. Even at the quantum level, it's not possible. What I'm talking about is, even when you go into the physical, the subtle levels of the physicality, at the quantum level, things become very random, right? So now the science is able to understand, appreciate spirituality, because now from a rudimentary physical, now we have gone into the subtler physical states. Now we are talking about the subtler mental states. So by and large, the consciousness, the aware consciousness, have 4 states, like we discussed last week. The awake state. In awake state, we are processing our thoughts, our external world. That's one spectrum of consciousness. In the next spectrum of consciousness, when you go into the sleep and dreaming, what is dream? Basically, it's a projection of your mind, of your consciousness, based on its impressions. Correct? So it's a projection of the mind. So even there, the awareness is there, but it is not real. When we come out of the dream, we know that it is a dream, it's not real. Now going into the deep state, like it is deep sleep. In deep sleep, the external awareness is gone. But at the same time, inner awareness is also gone. So there is not really any awareness, or there is some awareness at the deeper state. Correct? But how much ever it rejuvenates, still it is a sleep. And we have no knowledge of what happened in the deep sleep. Whereas meditation is when you have the inner awareness and outer awareness at the same time. And slowly, it's not losing the outer awareness. So this is where the meditation is most misunderstood at this state. Mind is pursuing the external awareness while we are meditating. Mind is also trying to go into the pursuing the inner awareness. Both are happening at the same time. Because we are accustomed to the external awareness, our mind is grasping it quickly. And that's why I'm saying I'm having a lot of thoughts. But the inner awareness is also there. And slowly, surely, in the same meditation, I'm not talking about years of meditation, I'm talking about in the same meditation, mind also perceives this inner condition. Because that comes to the awareness of the consciousness. Consciousness is a tool to become aware of something or anything. So once that condition mind becomes aware of, because it's so subtle, because it's so rejuvenating, mind somehow gravitates towards that subtler condition. Automatically, we don't have to do anything. The problem is we want to do something about meditation. But the real meditation is, once you give the direction to it, you let go. You become a witness. You become a mere observer, not interfering with the process. The more you interfere with the process, this inner awareness eludes us. That's why it's important for us to recognize this inner process, stick with it, wait, become aware of it, become a witness to what is happening, become an observer. And slowly, surely, in the same meditation, it comes to your grip. Meditation is not a technique. Meditation is not a skill. Meditation is a process of allowing the mind to grasp this inner. That's it. It's simple, easy, and you don't need any concentration, you don't need any focus. If you are thinking in 100 directions, let the mind go in 100 directions. But suddenly it becomes aware of this inner consciousness, inner state. And once you become aware of that state, hold on to it. Make it as a process of your memory. Hold on to it. First, don't lose it. Give some time. So the longer you hold, the longer it stays with you. So this is where the practice of meditation is really comes into the play. So after meditation, how long can I hold on to that condition? How to recall that condition is a practice. The more you are able to recall, the more you are able to stay with it. And the more you are able to work through that condition and attend to all your day-to-day stuff, right? Then you know your balance point, you know how to come back if something is troubling you. And that's why when we are going into this real potential, you will always find the solution for any situation you are in. And if you don't find the solution, you better leave it. That means you're not meant to find any solution. Leave it. It resolves by itself. If it doesn't resolve by itself, it's the will of the God, so it be. You see, so we become so fluid, so accommodating, so accepting, So the more we are accepting means we are not allowing the situation to overtake us. Instead, we are allowing the situation to either resolve by itself or you find a solution and act according to it. See, thought is the originator of any action. But that thought, where is it coming from? The inner potential. When the inner potential is in balance, your thought process is also in balance. That means your actions become in balance, come into a state of balance. So that's the whole process here. Okay. So I'll stop here for any questions, comments.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What does this mean? There was early on, I would probably say that my mind would want to go into meditative state. It would demand it, at certain times, like to be at a stoplight, to be sitting at a desk, and it would just come and demand I meditate. Then later on, I found that it seemed like I was in a meditative state almost throughout the whole day, which was kind of distracting because then I didn't want to do anything, couldn't focus on anything.
Yes.
Now, I don't have periods of either of those, but yet I can, go into a meditative state very easily, but there doesn't seem to be any demand to drift into that state throughout the day.
Right. Like I said, infinite possibilities and at this realm. So, and it's very dynamic. It's not fixed. It's not constant. Every time you meditate, we cannot expect to have the same state. And also it's a moving target. This inner is a moving target. And as we are going through this inner, sometimes we are into an open field where things look calm, infinite, absorbed. And then we go into a very disturbed, rugged field. And that's when it feels we find it very disturbed during meditation. We cannot experience the same calmness which I had it yesterday or day before. So it's a constantly moving field and things are changing. And as we progress, as we perform, that's why we do this cleaning process. As we are cleaning this field, the rugged field becomes soft and smooth and subtler. And then as we clean, as that state is cleaned properly, then the next meditations become better. But we are not staying in that state all the time, in that field all the time. The field is moving. So again, we go into a rough patch. So it's constantly changing. Sometimes it takes you a very deep state. It's like that roller coaster ride, right? So we cannot put a finger and say, okay, every time I go into meditation, I'll have deep state. I don't think anyone, even the masters today, when they meditate, they are going through the same changing states. Even it is not constant for them. So anything which becomes constant, stagnated, then there is a problem. So we don't want to get into that stagnate position or situation in our lives, in our spiritual practice. Okay. So don't assume that people who have been meditating for a long time, or who have become the trainers, or who have become the masters, they'll have better meditations than us. But I don't think so. Whatever the challenges we are going through, they go through the challenges in every meditation. But now they have come to an acceptance that that's how it is going to be. When we come to that acceptance, we can say we have also become the masters. Okay. So does that answer your question, Cliff?
Yes. I mean, not everything's same, but the idea of constant remembrance that we should hold that state throughout the day
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to say is, right now that's not happening for me. In the past it was, but it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like I have to have that.
So this constant remembrance is not something, a compulsion. If you it is just that meditative state we felt, and it comes to our state of being again and again throughout the day. And sometimes we are so occupied with our mind, it doesn't come. Or even if I'm not occupied, right, I'm still thinking about something. Okay, how to grow my plants, or how to do this, or how to connect with a friend after a long time. Something is catching our attention, and this remembrance goes away, which is fine. Okay. So it is constant remembrance is a natural process. The whole spirituality has to be a very natural process. So we don't want to force anything and make it unnatural. Okay.
So you're basically saying it happens, it doesn't, that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. Don't force yourself. But the idea is there in the back of your mind. That is good enough. It's a very natural process. So anything we are struggling in our spiritual practice, that means we are not natural. That's all I can say. Keep doing it, keep going, and then go back at it again and again and again. It will dawn on us naturally. It is dawning on us in every meditation. Sometimes we are aware, sometimes we are not aware. Even after meditation, sometimes we are aware, sometimes we are not aware. But that potential is dawning onto us because we have already experienced it. Okay. All right.